So I think you all should read Unbroken. It's an excellent book. I really enjoyed reading it. As someone who served in the military, it really influenced me and made believe what I do in the military is really important, and thankful for all the veterans that we've had in this world. I think you all should read it. I think you should all learn about what life was like during World War II and what this amazing man's life was like and how much he's had to overcome. The book changed me because I got to really connect with a lot of my soldiers and veterans with what I do in the military and find a cool way to teach it and some cool lesson plans I'm really excited about. And I hope you all read it, and I bet you all will enjoy it. Good luck.
All right.
This book. Students should read this book because it talks a lot about how an individual could be faced with seemingly insurmountable problems, but you can come out the other end and be a. You can come out the other end successfully and kind of, put those problems in the past and live a full and rewarding life still.
I would recommend Unbroken to all the kids at Horace Mann Middle School. It's a great book. It's a great story. It's got a lot of history in it, so if you love history, if you love action, if you love adventure, you will love Unbroken. And I cannot recommend you reading it more. I loved it.
Hi, here's the book Unbroken. You're probably thinking, I don't have time to read all of this, but let me tell you, you do. You have to make the time. I did. I stayed up past 3 a.m. 2 nights in a row to read this book. I had to find out how it finished. My kids were hungry. No one had clean clothes. I didn't even floss, but I had to find out how this book ended. Now, I'm not saying to skip your showers or to skip breakfast, but make time to read an amazing book. I read about, on a serious note, I read a little while ago that the inspiration, Louis Zamperini, of this book had died recently. When I read his obituary, I'm like, that's an interesting guy. And then I heard a rumor that this might be the school-wide read, so I plunked down my money when it came out in paperback. It was the best $10 I ever spent. You can spend $5 and get the book. So get cracking. Open the book and learn a lot about life.
Book showed me that you can overcome obstacles no matter what and go on to do great things. The students should read the book to understand not only historical things that happened, but that this gentleman turned out to be phenomenal. And how did this book change me? It made me realize that no matter what's going on in my life, there are other people out there who are having worse struggles than myself. So it made me realize that.
I was very excited when Unbroken was announced as the all-in book this year. I had wanted to read this book for a while. I had heard a lot of great reviews and chatter about this book, and it was on my wish list on Amazon waiting for me to click purchase. As I read the unbelievable story of Louis Zamperini, I was awestruck at how one man could survive so much. I found myself holding my breath and crossing my fingers for someone to come and rescue him as he endured challenge after challenge that most would never survive. I found this book to be very fascinating. For me, whenever I had read a book or saw a movie or a TV show about World War II, it had always been about the European side of the war, never about the Japanese side of the war. After reading Unbroken, I had a better understanding of what happened on the Japanese side of World War II. The hardest part for me while reading Unbroken was the cruelty that Louis had to endure and witness from other human beings. As I read through the difficult parts, I kept thinking of my own grandfather, who was also a prisoner of war during World War II. Even though my grandfather was captured by the Germans, I know that he was also treated unkindly and became extremely sick. But as I read, I kept hoping that my own grandfather did not have to experience the same cruelty and abuse the other prisoners of war, especially those in Japan, had to experience. I do hope that you join the all-in experience this year. This book is truly inspiring and will cause you to want to talk to others about it. I'm trying very hard to get my own friends and family to read it as well because I'm dying to talk to them about it. So please, if you do read it, come and talk to me about it. We can discuss the unbelievableness of everything that Louis Zamperini not only endured, but survived and overcame.
Okay, so I read Unbroken I think 2 years ago, and I really liked it. and I think all students should read it because it's a fantastic story about perseverance, and because then you get to be all in.
Hi, I'm Miss Sullivan and I teach 7th grade math on Team Ninja Turtles. And I just finished reading Unbroken and I'm so excited to talk to you guys about it. Before I started reading the book, I had no expectations of what it was going to be. I knew nothing about Louis Zambrini's life and all that he had accomplished. When I had learned about World War II in school, I had focused primarily on Europe and what had gone on overseas. And it was nice to be able to see something from the perspective of a soldier, starting in California, going across the Pacific Islands, and finally into Japan. I feel like it gave me a whole new perspective on that side of the war. Even as a math teacher, that history was exciting. If you guys read the book, yes, there's a lot of historical facts, but I assure you it's extremely interesting. I couldn't put the book down, and I was so excited to read every single night, and I was sad when the book ended. I also think that the book gave me a great perspective on what it's like to be a veteran and a soldier every day in our country. As you guys have seen from the news, my sister is a pilot in the Air Force, and to read about an account from another pilot's point of view, it gave me really good perspective on what my sister goes through and has gone through every time she's deployed for the war. So if you have a veteran in your life, I highly recommend you read this book because it will help you relate to that person as well. I highly recommend you guys read it and go get the book and be all in this year for 2015.
I'm about a third of the way through the book Unbroken right now, and I'm really loving it. One day on a Saturday, I read for about 2 hours straight, and I think I probably totally ignored my girls that day. I don't think they had breakfast or lunch. The story is really meaningful for me because my grandfather was in World War II, and he passed away when I was 5, so I didn't get to hear any of his stories, so I really enjoyed hearing it from another veteran's point of view, and I can't wait to finish it.
Hi, I read Unbroken a couple of years ago, but I remember some things that really stood out to me even now. First, I was amazed to read about how heroic an ordinary man could be under those challenging situations that he was in. And I also didn't know a lot about the war in the Pacific during World War II. So those things were incredible to me. And when I was reading, I constantly thought, what would I do in Louis' situation? Would I be as resourceful and as tough as he was and as determined? Would I give up? And I was always like measuring against him, you know. I couldn't imagine doing what he did. So now when I struggle with something, I always think of Louis. I always think that what he endured was so unthinkable and impossible, but he did it. So when I go to the gym, and I do a lot, and I lift very heavy weights, and I have a guy that trains with me, and he says to me, because he read the book too, what would Louis do? So he says to me, what if you had to keep working or the sharks would eat you? He says, don't stop, the sharks are coming. So if Louis could endure what he did, I figure I can endure those discomforts. So he keeps me going. He's my role model. That's it.
So when I first found out that the book was Unbroken, I was very skeptical about it, but I bought the book anyway, and I didn't think I was going to like it because I thought that's not my kind of book. I don't like war books. It's going to be sad. I thought that maybe it was going to be too difficult for the kids to read, for you guys to read, and then I read it and I couldn't put it down. I honestly thought it was one of the best books I've ever read. That's it.
I read the book Unbroken over the summertime, not even knowing that it was going to be our choice book for this year. And honestly, I have never been so moved by a book. I felt as when I was reading that I needed to have a little more resiliency in my life and a little less self-pity and a lot more perseverance. And I just feel like this book just changed my whole outlook on who I need and want to be as a person.
I can't wait for kids to start reading the book Unbroken. It has so many wonderful themes in it. The theme that really sticks out in my mind is the theme about forgiveness. And when you read the book, you'll understand what I mean by that. And I think it just re-emphasized to me how important that emotion is, and why we should seek forgiveness and give forgiveness. And it was one of the most moving moments of the book for me. I read this book being a history teacher. I love personal stories. I love stories of people overcoming obstacles. And I had read reviews about the book, and I had read the author's previous book, and I loved her style of writing. And the book did not disappoint at all. I just thought it was awesome. And I can't wait to have discussions and really talk to kids about how they feel about the book and how what is it making them think about in terms of their own lives, because it has certainly done that for me. And that's what good books do. It makes you think of yourself, maybe not in that particular situation, but definitely in terms of emotions that we carry or that we have in our own lives. So good luck reading it and really enjoy it. I'm very excited that we're going to be doing this book together, and I can't wait to have talks about it. So good luck.